Once you've set up your chart of accounts and your controlling accounts in the general ledger, in order to truly start using the general ledger, you're going to need to put in your opening balances. So these would be the balances that you're starting out with in the Main Street software. You'll need to transfer those over from your existing accounting software, or if you're not currently using any accounting software and you're just beginning to, you'll need to get with your accountant and they'll be able to help you put together those numbers. And even if you're a brand new business, you're going to have at least a few opening balance numbers to put into the system. Now these opening balances can be put into the system at any time, so you can begin using Main Street right away, and if it takes you a month or two or even several months to come up with the opening balance numbers, those still can be put in, and all your reports can be rerun after those have been put in and be updated with the appropriate numbers. So to put in our opening balances, we're going to go to the GL section and choose opening balances. Now the name of this section, opening balances, is a little bit misnamed. In a sense, it's really closing balances because we're going to take the closing or ending balances from the previous month and put them into this section, and then those become the opening balances for the next period. So you're going to need to get the balances out of your other accounting software from your accountant. So let's say we started using the Main Street software in June, and so we're going to put in opening balances for June. And something else to keep in mind, when you start using the Main Street software, if you've begun using it partway in the month, let's say it's the middle of the month and you start using the Main Street, you're going to want to continue using your accounting software until the end of the month, because you can't start using the accounting system in Main Street midway through a month. For general ledger, when you put in balances, they have to be for the beginning of the month. So you'll want to finish out your accounting software that you're currently using till the end of the month. Even if you are posting everything in Main Street, you may need to do a little double entry until the end of the month. So once you have those numbers, you're going to come in here, and again, let's say we're putting in our opening balances for June. We're actually going to go back till the previous month, May, and select that as the period. And as you can see, the date there shows 5/31/2012. So these are the balances as of 5/31. And then all of the accounts in your general ledger chart of accounts will be listed here. And then the balances, if any transactions have been done already, will be listed. So then all you need to do is, for each account, put in the proper amount. So let's say our checking account, we've got the wrong amount there. We would just highlight the number that's there and then type in the correct number. Now you'll notice after I did that and hit enter, down at the bottom where we've got the balance is now not zero anymore. But as you go through and put in the different amounts for the different accounts, that's going to go up and down. And when you get to the very end and have all of your account balances in, that number needs to be at zero. The program will not let you save what you've done in this screen until the balance is zero, because you can't have an out of balance situation. Another thing to keep in mind is when you're putting in these numbers, they're generally always going to be positive numbers. The only time that you would put in a negative number is if it has the opposite balance of what it's supposed to have. So if it's a debit account with a credit balance, or it's a credit account with a debit balance, then we would put in a negative amount. So something that may be like a contra account. So you have your a particular asset and it may have a contra account for depreciation. That would be put in as a negative account or a negative amount. Again, when you get to the end, if you go to save this and it's out of balance like it is right now, when we hit save, it's going to tell us we can't save it because it's out of balance. So then we need to make whatever corrections are needed to get it in balance. A little tip here, if you've been working on it for a while and you're getting frustrated and you can't really seem to make any headway, you may want to just take that balance there and stick it in an account that doesn't have anything in it, and just kind of make note of where you stuck it, and then that way you can zero things out so you can at least save what you've done and then come back to it later and work on it some more. So I would usually recommend something in the 3,000 account areas in order to balance that out. So maybe you come here to common stock and you just go ahead and put in the 4758, and now it's zeroed out. And now we can go up to the top and choose save, and it's going to save that for you. And what it's letting you know is that it's going to clear the period activity for that period. So basically what that's saying is if I ran any reports now for May, there's not going to be anything there because we're saying, we're really starting in June. So anything prior to June 1st really doesn't matter. And so those reports are not going to have any information in them. So at that point, you would then just say yes, and that will go ahead and save the changes that you've made. And like I said, if you've made a mistake and you need to come back and work on it, you simply come back in here and pick that same period. And again, we could go to the account common stock and we could zero that back out when we're ready to get started and correct our mistakes that we've made. Once you put in the opening balances, you generally would not come into this section again. You don't want to go in each month and make changes here, but this section could be used if after a few years of using the software, mistakes have been made, things have gotten out of whack, so to speak, and you need to bring everything back to where it should be. Maybe you've worked with your accountant, come up with what the numbers should be, and then again, if you could come back in here and put in new balances again. But generally speaking, this is kind of a one-time thing that you would want to do here.